Presiding Officer, may I start by wishing you a happy birthday and thank Marie Todd for securing this debate. It's always as well to get credit in with the Presiding Officer. It's just one of the rules in this place. Let me also say that I found myself agreeing with every single word that Maurice Golden said. I think it was a very worthwhile contribution. I just gently encourage him and his Conservative colleagues, perhaps, in the light of that agreement, perhaps to consider signing the motion from time to time, even if there's an SNP name on it. But that's a political point, not particularly to be stressed. The key point is that the report that's the subject of today's debate makes a lot of critical points. They're critical to our economy, to renewable energy and fundamentally to climate change. Members will of course know of my personal engagement as the Minister for Climate Change who took the bill through in 2009. Very challenging bill, and I think it's fair to acknowledge that one of the areas that's already been a subject to debate is one of the areas where the challenge is greatest, and that's heat, renewable heat. It's proving fundamentally more difficult than I think we imagined in 2009. But that doesn't mean we should ignore it because it's difficult. On the contrary, it is the difficult things to which we must now turn our attention, but we do so based on the successes we've had in other areas. Transport remains difficult, I absolutely accept. Let me just tell you a little story on that one. When I was Minister, I went to the Eco-Congregations meeting. It was in a rural area. We had people from all over Scotland who were enthusiasts for making groups of faith groups more ecologically friendly. I found a ready ear for the things I had to say, and then I made the mistake of saying, those of us, like myself, who live in a rural area, perhaps in transport, one of the things we might think about doing is just coordinating with our neighbours our visits to the local towns to do our shopping. I can only describe what happened as all heydays broke loose. I use the word carefully, Presiding Officer, because it turned out that even in the most enthusiastic climate change adopters, it, to some extent, was for everyone else to do, not for them. And I think that's the big challenge. The challenge lies with the people and our persuading people to new ways of working. Now, the UK has been doing reasonably well in the rankings, although it's going a little bit backwards at the moment. Scotland is a 700th of the world's emissions, and I think it's broadly recognised as being one of the leaders, albeit there are other areas of the world where, in certain respects, they're doing better to us. The leadership that we've displayed, I think, is being challenged by some of the policies on renewable energy from the UK. But I have hopes, because I think there is economic benefit from addressing climate change. We create new jobs. We reduce our long-term costs, because after all, the raw material for renewable energy is all but free once you've made the capital investment. And I think these are all things which we can all look at and hope that we can move forward on. For Scotland, of course, we have engineering skills, particularly in relation to offshore installations, that we can leverage across from our oil and gas industries into new offshore renewable energies. First mover advantage is still there for us to grasp. I hope that this debate is a useful contribution, just as the paper we're discussing today and the work of WWF Friends of Earth and RSPB has made a very excellent contribution to the issue of climate change. I look forward to listening to my colleagues' contributions. Presiding Officer, once again, happy birthday.